All right. You all hear me? Awesome. Group policy, yay! All right. Thanks for coming to my session. What's new with group policy in Windows 8? First of all, who am I? I'm Alan Birchall. I am from Australia, from Brisbane, so I've come across the ditch here to come here to present to you guys. I'm really excited to be here again. Thanks for having me back. I'm a group policy MVP. There's a few of us in the world, but I'm pretty much the only one in the Australia APAC region. I have a website. I should also say, I'm a senior consultant with Avanade in Australia, primarily out of Brisbane, but all over Australia, going around telling people how to do group policy, deploy Windows, all that other stuff. So I deal with Windows every day. I'm a consultant. So I work for Avanade. I'm not a Microsoft person. But I also run a website. Grouppolicy.biz. Who's ever been to grouppolicy.biz or Group Policy Central? People with your hands up, you're all very smart people. Thank you. People who have your hands down, you're going to be smart by the end of this session, so it's okay, because you'll learn about all this great new stuff with group policy in Windows 8. That being said, I'm going to talk about it and show you a lot of stuff. Who here prefers PowerPoint over demos? Who here prefers demos over PowerPoint? Awesome. So I've got a lot of demos. Problem with a lot of demos is that there's a lot of opportunity for failure. Not that I'm setting myself up for failure, I'm not, I'm staying positive. But if you have a lot of demos and I've had one or two mistakes along the way, please forgive me. I'm going to show you a heap of demos, so hopefully that'll, outbalance, any mistakes or errors or stuff-ups that might happen along the way. So Group Policy Central, my website. Everything I talk about here, I've got blog articles. So what I'm saying is this session's being recorded, woohoo, so you can come back and relive all this goodness. So when you're in this room, you can go back and see it all over again. That's great. But you can also go to my website, grouppolicy.biz, and pretty much I've got blog posts on everything that I do and talk about in here in a lot more detail, screenshots and how-tos on that website as well. So definitely look it up, keep it subscribed. I pump out articles all the time. There's a whole bunch of new Windows 8 stuff and everything like that. So what am I going to talk about? Nothing. No. First thing I'm going to talk about, really quickly over this, some new stuff with remote server admin tools. This is just general goodness with remote server admin tools. Just to get you going with group policy. Not a lot there, but notable change settings. So there's a couple of settings that have changed or have been removed. I'm going to talk about ways to work around that. You might be happy that they're gone, but you also might be sad that it's like, okay, it's gone, but what do I do now? Infrastructure status report. How to do some health checking. Group policy objects in your environment. Who's ever had a DC replication issue? Right. So, isn't it nice to know that I made a change to a group policy object, and I'm wondering, want to find out why hasn't this applied to all my machines? I waited my 2 hours, and replication should have happened by now, so why isn't the policy getting pushed out? Is it a client issue? Is it a back-end server issue? Stuff to help you around that. Group policy service optimization. I'm going to delve in a little bit deep in the optimizations they've done specifically around Windows 8 with the group policy service. So what have they done to make it run better, quicker, faster? The official term is AOAC, which I'll go into later, what that acronym means. Group policy update. So did anyone know roughly how often group policy updates on a client? Yell it out. 40, no, a bit higher. 90. Yeah, I heard 90 somewhere. So not every 90 minutes, right? Hey? No, you didn't. Yeah, have a voucher. So every 90 minutes or so, group policy updates. But wouldn't it be nice if there was a way to get group policy out quicker than 90 minutes? Yes, there is. It's called group policy update. I'm going to show you how to configure and implement that in your environment. It's pretty cool. And whoever's heard of the line, group policy makes my computer run slow, or thinks it, or, group policy is the cause for my machine running slow, right? there's some new enhancements to reporting in group policy to show you how you can narrow down. Well, if group policy is taking a long time, why is it taking a long time? What part of group policy is taking a long time? Is it this massive file system recommission I'm doing every 18 hours on my local computer that's causing, group policy? Is it the folder redirection? Is it anything else that's causing my machine to slow down? So it really helps you narrow down what's going on with the performance of processing on the client. So just quickly, remote server admin tools. If you didn't know, remote server admin tools are a pack of software that Microsoft will very, very shortly release if they haven't already released it, but they've been waiting for Server 2012 to be released, and I haven't seen anything about the remote server admin tools. But the remote server admin tools are basically the administrator tools for Windows 8 to install, because Windows 8 doesn't come with the administrator tool or all the administrator tools, such as Active Directory users' computers, Group Policy Management Console, pretty important if you want to edit your group policy, that you have Group Policy Management Console installed. So basically, still a separate download for the client, at least last I heard it was. It certainly isn't in Windows 8, so they are going to be releasing it. So I've noticed on the release preview, I can't confirm because I haven't had my hands on the files yet, but I'm pretty sure before you would install remote server admin tools and you go, great, I've got remote server admin tools installed. Can't find any tools. They're not there. Where are they? I've just installed it. Well, you have to go back into add and remove programs and then select the components that you want to add, right? See a few nodes and you want to add to run those tools. Well, I've noticed in the release preview, and I really hope in the RTM version that this stays the same, is that they automatically install all the tools under the administration tools section. I think they've pretty much figured out that if you're installing remote server admin tools explicitly on a Windows 8 computer, you probably want them installed, right? And this is just some general guidance. We've set it with Windows 7. We would have probably set it with Windows Vista, although we forgot about that. With Windows 7, we always said, certainly when I've ever done talks, I say, if you're editing a group policy object, always use the latest and greatest version of Group Policy Management Console. That is almost 99.9% true now. So, and you will find out what the exception is in a minute. But basically, if you're editing group policy objects in your environment, as soon as you start getting Windows 8 machines in there, start using a Windows 8 machine to edit your group policy objects. Alright? Because there's new and better stuff in the group policy management tool that understands the complete gamut of from Windows XP to Windows 8 of all the new settings. If you're using a Windows 7 machine, it might not see or understand some of those settings. Now, it might not necessarily break anything, but it's just not exposed to you, and it makes it a lot harder to troubleshoot, and you go wondering, why isn't this setting here, because you're not using the latest and greatest. Alright, if you have a policy that says we're staying with Windows 7 in your environment, or maybe we're only using Windows 8 limitedly, is that a real word? I don't know. But if you're using Windows 8 and you want an excuse to have Windows 8 on your computer at work, this is a really great excuse. You need the admin tools installed on your own machine because you need to use the latest and greatest tools. Internet Explorer maintenance settings. So I'm now talking about some of the settings in group policy that have changed. So Internet Explorer maintenance. Does anyone know what Internet Explorer maintenance settings are? A few nods, a few hands. I'll show you what they are. And ready? Watch. Whoa, Star Wars wipe. How cool was that? It was wiping like on Star Wars. This is Windows XP with the Group Policy Management Console installed. You notice here, under Users, Windows Settings, we have a section there called Internet Explorer Maintenance. This is how we've, since Windows 2000 days, you originally edited group policy objects, right, for Internet Explorer settings. Now, since then, they've released a whole bunch of native administrator templates, which are really nice and easy to report. And these were a pain in the butt because it had a requirement of the version of Internet Explorer that you had installed, and it kind of set the settings based on the version of IE that you had installed. But of course, you have multiple versions of IE in your environment, and it gets really complicated really bit fast of what IE setting you want to apply, on what machine has Group Policy Management Console installed as to what version of IE had installed. It's gone. Not there in the UI anymore. If you go have a look now, how far is the right mouse? In a group policy setting, under Users, Policies, Windows Settings, Internet Explorer Maintenance is gone. Woohoo! Okay, it's really good that they removed that feature because it was a pain in the butt, like I said. Problem was, there's this really great group policy setting that allows you to set Internet Explorer zones in it. And why was it really good? So, the reason it was really good, and I'm on the wrong screen there. The reason it was really good is in the Internet Explorer maintenance, you could set an Internet Explorer site zone. So like, add your local internet server to the Internet Trust Zones list. But it would allow your users to continue to add and remove websites from that list as well. Now, I'm not saying you want to do that for all your users, but maybe your developers, you want to allow them to customize the IE zone list. Alright, Internet Explorer maintenance was the only way out of the box that you could do that. Group policy preferences, if you ever went in there and looked at the site button was grayed out because the feature wasn't there. Still not. That really isn't optimal. But there is this other Internet Explorer setting, which is called Site to Zone Assignment List. Alright? Which is really great, but it locks the UI down. What do I mean by that? Let me quickly show you what I mean by locking the UI down. So, over here, just checking, yep, alright. So I've got this group policy here, which is currently not enabled. I'm just going to go into this machine here, go show you the IE zones. Oh, look at the home page here. It's this really great group policy website. Woohoo! Should bookmark that for later, yeah. So I'm going here, Internet, not about, yes, it's running IE10. Internet Explorer options, security, trusted site zone. Right, there's nothing there. That's just because that was the current website. Alright, but I can change it. Like I can add something to it if I wanted to, and I can remove it from there. It's all enabled. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to enable this locked IE zone. And what setting does this apply? So it's a data administrative template, that's site to zone assignment, and it gives it a number of 2 putting it into the trusted sites, because that's the number assigned to the trusted site zone, which is 2. 1 is local intranet, but not that I'm suggesting you put an internet website in the trusted site zone, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to put my website into that trusted site zone. I trust my website. I'm not telling you should trust my website. You should trust the content on the website, but you shouldn't put it in the trusted zone of the website. It's just an example. Alright, so if I go back here now, and I have a shortcut here which does a GP update /force. I'm going to double-clicking that one a few times throughout the session. Hopefully, with group policy update, it's going to, yeah, it's going pretty quickly. That's good. And wait for the user. Ta-da! Okay, so if I now go back into Internet Explorer and go to the security and zones, and it is, well, it's locked down. Actually, that's kind of a demo file. I'll admit that. Why, Delilah? Group policy biz. That's strange. It's not there either. Alright. No, group policy, when you make a change in group policy, it applies immediately. Maybe I just had to close the browser and open it again. But you kind of got the idea that when I went in there, the trusted site zone, oh, there it is. Yes. Alright. Okay, so I've got it in there, but I can't change that now, which kind of sucks, because I'm a developer and I want to change it. Right, I can layer different policies together and merge those URL lists into one, so I can have one at the top level for all users, I can have one at the bottom level, my OU structure for my developers, but there's still no flexibility for the end users. So, first of all, I'm going to unlink that, alright, and I've got this group policy object here called Open Internet Explorer Zones, alright, and I'm just going to run a GP update first, and so if I go in, it's one of those, cooking shows. Here's one we prepared earlier. So it's disabled at the moment, but basically what you need to do is using group policy preferences, something that I hope that you have already installed in your environment, because group policy preferences are great, but if you don't know what they are, you should come to my session on Friday about logon scripts, because that's all about group policy preferences. So this is a group policy preference. So all I'm doing here with the preference is a registry key. Alright, and the registry key is pretty simple. So if you actually crack open the registry key and have a look at where IE zones are stored, it's under this HKey current user software, Microsoft Windows, current version, Internet Explorer zone, domain maps. It's got a bit of a strange format, but it's pretty easy to decipher. So it's actually the last part of the URL / first part of the URL as the key. Alright, it's a regd word. The name is HTTP, so it's saying, oh, I trust this site using HTTP protocol. You can put in HTTPS, and I've put in the value 2. Right, so I'm just basically creating the registry key, so I'm now going to enable that setting. Go back to GP update. I'm going to close IE this time. So I'll actually have a look at the registry key after the group policy update is finished. Someone said, do you want your mouse on the box? And I said no, but now I'm bending down so much I'm going to say yes. That's better. Waiting for group policy update, waiting for group policy update. F5, F5, F5. Yes. And ready? Ready? Oh, that was an error. Bother. So basically what I'm doing is taking a registry key and I'm applying the same registry key to the same zone where I would configure it if I'd gone in as a user and gone into the site zone mapping and actually just added the zone manually. So I'm just doing what the program does in the background using Internet Explorer maintenance. Windows could not have oh my goodness. Yeah, that would be bad. And if at first you don't succeed, reboot. So while that's rebooting, I'll go back to this. Pretend that worked. Okay, so basically you can use the internet, you can use group policy preferences to set that up, to get around the fact that Internet Explorer maintenance setting is now gone. Excellent. The official guidance is you can still use the Internet Explorer administration kit, alright, to configure IE and deploy it with those sites and zones, but it doesn't really help you to then maintain and update that site and zone list once you've kind of pushed it out there. So group policy preferences registry key. So folder redirection, moving on to the next setting. Who has folder redirection in their environment? A lot. Okay. So there's a new concept in Windows 8 called a primary computer. Alright, a primary computer is a computer that will receive folder redirection. Okay? So, folder redirection, you know the problem. User logs on the computer A, that gets all these folders redirected, and then gets all these files cached. They've got gigabytes of folders, and all their My Documents is cached automatically. They go onto another machine, they go on there, it gets cached, and they go on another machine, it gets cached. And wherever they go, they're leaving a trail of their documents in their cache, in their user account, on all these machines. Well, if it's secure information that they've got in their My Documents, which it probably is, or it could be at least personal information, it's just leave a trail of this information throughout your organization. You can mitigate that stuff with BitLocker, sure, but you want to what if you wanted to just allow the user's folder redirection to only go to a certain number of machines or one machine? You can do that with primary computer. Alright, that's the policy setting. Let me jump back. Computer's rebooted. So what I'll do, hopefully, so I have a policy here called folder redirection. Alright, my user is Frank Rizzo. Let him log on. Alright, and at the moment he doesn't have folder redirection enabled. Alright, so if I go to My Documents, yep, cool. Properties. Just redirecting the C drive at the moment. Right, but this workstation here is called Win8 VM1. I want to make this the machine where he receives his redirected folders. So what you do, unfortunately there's not a lot of UI to do this. They've implemented the feature, but there's a little bit of back-end jiggery-pokery you have to do to make it work. It's not too hard to do. What you have to do is you have to get the distinguished name of the computer that you want to assign as the primary computer, and you have to assign that to the MSDS-primary computer attribute of the user account. The easiest way I figured out to do this is first go into the computer account. I've got advanced mode turned on, so I have this attribute editor tab enabled. Scroll down to distinguished name, so I want D. Distinguished name, just double click on it. You can't modify that, so I can't do any damage there. Just copy that. I'm going to cancel. So I've just copied the distinguished name of that machine. Frank Rizzo, there we go. Back into the attribute editor, and MSDS-primary. Let me see. Primary, there it is. Okay, and I just paste that value there and go add. Now notice I can add multiple. So I can have multiple primary machines. So if I have a desktop and a laptop, that's fine. Sorry, yeah, quick. Pardon?
Why don't they leverage SCCM to do this? Is that built in? Or some primary machine?
For applications.
No, well, not just for users.
That's a good. Is there any way to leverage this with SCCM? Yeah. I don't know, maybe SCCM leverages that because that's an attribute on the AD object. I'm not sure. I could probably try to find out for you. That being said, this is a way to do a computer association for the folder redirection without SCCM. Alright, so this is, you don't need SCCM. So maybe SCCM can read that attribute and go, oh, that's the primary user, I'll apply applications. I'm not sure, but that is a good question. So see me after and I'll try to find out for you. So anyhow, I've assigned him a primary computer, hit OK, go back to the machine. So like I said, hang on, one other thing I need to just double check. I need to enable the folder redirection policy. So I've just enabled and all that does is this folder redirection policy. I'm going to do a GP update. Please work. Please don't give me a DNS error. Come on, go Silver Sovereign. Computer, go use it. Oh. Seriously. Alright. Can I do a GP update from here? Well, that worked. Alright, really quick change of strategy. So, VM2 is now going to be my primary computer. Our attribute editor, distinguished name, copy that, go to the user. You should all know how to do this by the end of this demo. Okay, VM2, hit OK, GP update again. Right. Of course, I'm the local administrator. So what I'll say is what it's supposed to do is now when I log on as that user to that machine, obviously it's supposed to get the redirected folders only on that machine. If you go to a machine that doesn't have redirected folders, they won't have folder redirection enabled. Question?
What happens if you move to a machine in your OU structure?
I had that same thought this morning when I was putting it in there because the distinguished name had the OU structure in it. I haven't tested that yet. I think it will break it. You need to be careful because you're assigning a primary computer because it is the distinguished name of the machine. I don't think there's any sort of backlinking to the user object to update the distinguished name of the machine. But again, if you want to, I'll find out it for sure, but I don't think it will because there's no backlinking there with that. That's a good question, and if I wrote the software, I'd know. I really don't know. That's how the format of the computer name needs to be there. I suppose for a computer name, folder redirection can go cross-forest. Alright, so possibly to get around that, can you have unique computer names in different forests? Probably, I don't know, I'm just guessing. But no, it has to be the distinguished name of the machine. So, applying folder redirection policy. Yes. Meanwhile, I'll reboot this sucker again in the background. So folder redirection policy is not quick. And one of the things you can do for a folder redirection policy, the first time a user logs on, what it's doing is uplifting all those files and folders to the network. So, and basically working itself out. So hopefully, if I go now to documents, yes, that folder is now redirected for that user where it wasn't before. I know I didn't show you it before, but trust me, it wasn't there before. Okay. Meanwhile, I've got this other machine here which I'm trying to kind of sort out. But that's okay. So you can limit the scope of folder redirection now to a single machine. Be careful, it's really difficult to troubleshoot because there's virtually nothing in the UI to tell you that this is a primary machine. It's only, there will be one line in a group policy report that says, redirected folder, this was not applied because the user is not a primary user of this machine. Alright, so you only find out after the fact. It's short of going into the objects and checking the 8 user objects, is this the right machine? So, yeah. You can certainly script. It's just an attribute on the user account. So can you check it for a compliance sort? I'm sure that you could report on. You could report what users have what computers, because all you have to do is enumerate through the users you want to report on and check that attribute for that user. Okay, it's just an attribute in AD.
Can you use it for group policy targeting?
This is the only thing that will support it that I know of. So it's only folder redirection. And it's only folder redirection if you've enabled the folder redirection policy, which is a computer policy, all right, which I showed you before, redirect, which on the screen there. All right, that has to be enabled. If that's not enabled, it'll work as per normal and it will just follow the user everywhere. Okay. Star Wars wipe. I have lost video on my PowerPoint. Woohoo. I'm just going to talk about it. Who cares about PowerPoint? Group policy service optimization. All right. One of the new features in group policy, I mentioned it before, was optimizing the service, the group policy service. So there is a service in group policy, and it is. Let me just log on. Could anything else go wrong? The service is basically the group policy client service. You might have seen it in there. It was introduced in, correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, it was definitely in their Windows 7 and Vista times because they decoupled it from the Win logon process. So, I don't know if you ever saw it build. Sinofsky had this little netbook and he came out on stage and he said, look at this netbook. In Windows 7 it ran like 500 mega RAM and now with Windows 8 it runs 430 mega RAM in idle state. And a lot of the ways they squeeze this extra RAM and extra resources out of the machine is they looked at the operating system and goes, well, what's sitting there just consuming resources that we don't need and how can we shove it to sleep until we do need it? And one of those things that they kind of said that falls under that category was the group policy service. So like we talked about before, group policy runs generally how often? Every 90 minutes, right? So what's it doing the other 89 minutes of the day? Nothing, but it still consumes 10 mega RAM, right? So what the group policy always on, always connected optimization does is that it puts the service to sleep, turns it off. If you go in there, the startup will be auto delayed, but the status will be off. So don't freak out when your group policy client service isn't running on a lot of your machines in your organization. Now, I'm going to show you the service. It's going to be running, right, but I just rebooted this machine. If I wait 10 minutes, it will stop. So what wakes it up? Right? Scheduled tasks. Right? There is a system scheduled task to wake up the group policy service and run a group policy update. Alright? But what if I do a GP update? Well, then it will wake up and the service will start up and it will run for another 10 minutes and do the GP update. So basically, when it's needed, it will start. When it's not needed, it will shut down. So what does this service look like? So if you go into Task Scheduler and go under Microsoft Windows, guess what it's called? Group policy. There's nothing there because it's a system task. You're not meant to know when it's next run. It's kind of in the background. It's trying to hide it from you. So how do you see it? Just for your own, kind of, hey, I just want to know how it is. Oh, I need to run that as administrator. Hang on. How the heck does this work? So what I'm doing is I'm using PS Exec from Mark Ruzinovich, and I'm running this as a system. The MMC console is a system account interactively. Okay, and I'm going to go Task Scheduler and add that to the local computer. Alright, again, I go to Group Policy. And there they are. Really random. They're not really meant to be that easily read. It's just a random SID name to say the next run. But if you have a look at the action is GP update / target computer. The other one is GP update / target user. So this is one way they've helped reduce the system impact of resources on your Windows 8 machines compared to Windows 7. So they're still milking more system resources out of the operating system the further they go on. Of course, when you start at Vista, it's really easy to get more system resources out of it. But, Windows 7 was pretty good, but they're still going on. So who knows? Windows 9, they'll get it running on 10K or something like that. We'll be back to the future. No, I'm joking. Okay, so that's group policy. I'm running through my slide deck here, so I know what I'm talking about, but you can't see it. Hang on, let me just... Oh, that's all you can see. Okay, hang on. Hey, I got another screen. This is confusing, but okay. For first, you don't succeed from current slide. Alright, replication status report. Yes! Oh, God, this is a good one. Alright, so, replication status report. So, how do I know the status of my group policy objects? I said that before, you got a group policy object, you just created it. How can I be sure that it's been replicated out to all my machines? Really simple, easy feature, and I'm going to show you it in a really broken way because I only have I have 3 domain controllers, 2 of which are off. So, what it is basically a tab in the group policy management console that says, this is my primary computer. So this is the computer here that I'm basing as where I make my changes. Okay. Look at that. No site info. Oh, generating report. Very good. So you pick a machine that basically is this is what is correct. I've confirmed the group policy objects are correct on this machine. I'm going to use this to then compare the group policy object using the user and computer ID value of the group policy object against all the other DCs in my environment. Now, if it's in replication sync, it'll say domain controllers with replication in sync. It'll be X. Oh, man. Thank you. Can you see it now? There it is. All right. So it's just a tab in group policy management console. Here's 0 domain controllers are in sync. 2 with replication issues because these are both offline. I tried having multiple domain controllers turned on this morning. I tried to make one of them the RTM, and then things started to go bad, so I just turned them off so it wouldn't impact the demo. Who would have known that would be the least of my problems? But anyway, so it basically gives you the ability to go in and look at what group policy objects are in sync with a primary domain controller. You can change which one, so it's like, okay, well, if there's another domain controller that's turned on, I'll select that one, and that's where I make my changes and compare it against that. You can also go into group policy objects and have a look at how the status of individual group policy objects compared to other domain controllers in your environment. Alrighty. That's what it looks like. So when you download the slides, you want to know what it is. Again, it's all on my website as well. So group policy update. Yes, checking. Alright, forcing the update of group policy update on all computers in a selected OU. Alright, notice I say OU, you can't do it to the domain. They explicitly prohibit you from going right-click on the domain and going group policy update, because if you have lots and lots of computers and not many domain controllers, that would be very bad, because all of a sudden every machine in your entire organization tries to do a group policy update. Alright, those poor domain controllers, you don't want to do that. Okay, but again, image is in there for your sake, but I'm about to go in. You can also use PowerShell. I'll show you. And this supports Windows 7. All this is doing a remote scheduled task on your machine to say, do a group policy update within the next 10 minutes. That's all it's doing. There's no new client-side feature. This is the tool itself going off. There's no, nothing special about it. It's just doing a remote scheduled task, like the task just does a GP update /force/user, and for the user context, and all the users on your machine, and one for the computer as well. Okay, but you have to set it up in advance. If you're just pushing out a remote scheduled task to a machine and the firewall's on, it's going to go, oh, can't do that. Don't allow remote scheduled tasks. So how do you set that up? Back to here. So let me just show you the UI to do this first. Alright. Yes, you can see it. So here I've got OU workstations, and I'm just going to do the group policy update to show you. It's saying, hey, I've got 2 computers, and it's going off, and it's now actually trying to contact those machines by the client software on the machine I'm doing this on, tries to contact those machines and create the remote scheduled task. Okay, so the remote scheduled task now can't contact the machine, and so it appears to be offline, and it goes, I failed. Oh, that's no good. I can't do a group policy update for a machine that's off my network. Well, guess what? If the machine's off your network, you're not doing a group policy update because you need to be able to contact a domain controller. What happens when you plug a Windows 7 machine in or Windows 8 machine into the network and it hasn't done a group policy update for a while? It does a group policy update. It detects there's a net change in the network status, and it does a group policy update anyway. So if you're worrying about the machines that are offline when they next connect to your network, they're going to do a group policy update anyway when they connect to your network. So that doesn't really matter. Alright, but to set this up in advance, what we need to do is create a group policy. Alright, so GP up firewall. Alright, that pushes out the firewall, inbound firewall policies that allow you to do a group policy update. Now, it's under policies, Windows settings, security settings. It's the standard Windows firewall settings that have been there since Windows Vista. Probably known about it in Windows 7 because you never used Windows Vista. So we go new rule, predefined rule. And now, there's not one predefined rule for group policy update. There are 2 that you need to know. One is the remote scheduled task, because that's what we're doing. Alright, so inbound rule, RPC, EMAP, RPC. Next, allow, I'm just going to say from anywhere. The other one is a WMI, again predefined. WMI there. I could just go next there, but for the sake of not opening a firewall port open that I don't need to open, I'm going to untick the top and the bottom one and just go WMI in. Finish. Great, firewall rules there. So I go back here and I do a group policy update. Sits there, yay, I've pushed the policy out for the group policy update. Still doesn't work. Anyone tell me why that still doesn't work? Hand up there. Do you work for the government? I have a $50 card here for you. Come up and collect it, and you win, because that was an excellent answer. All right, because I can't push the group policy update out there to change the firewall rule. So what I'm trying to say to you is you need to have this proactively set up in advance if you want to leverage it. All right, this is not something that you can use to save your butt because you just pushed out the group policy that changes the background image to something really bad, or I don't know, done something stupid with the group policy, because we've never done anything stupid or wrong with group policy before. But it's not there to help you roll back those changes quickly. Right, it's there, you need to set it up in advance, but then you can use it to quickly go back and undo those bad settings. Okay? So that's very important to keep that in mind. So that in mind, I don't want my XP machine. I'm just going to do manually a GP update. Do my 8VM2. Hopefully this one will behave itself. Glad I have two machines. Alright, and that, as soon as the computer rules are done, come on, go faster, I'll then be able to do a group policy update to that machine. Of course, my other machine is still sitting there waiting for the next update of group policy. Come on. Yay. So, one succeeded, VM2. The other one, which I haven't done a group policy update on, still sitting there trying, failed. How scalable is this? I've been told 10,000 machines to one domain controller. Remember, it's in a 10-minute random offset. Alright? But what if 10 minutes isn't quick enough for me? What if I just want to do it now? Well, guess what? Who can guess what the answer is to force a group policy update? Actually, I'll get you to stick your hand up. To force a group policy update out to your machine. No, guy there. Pardon? No, next. No. No. What is something that Microsoft has been telling you to learn for such a long time? Redshirt. PowerShell. Come here, $50 voucher. Do you work for the government? Okay. Who stuck their hand up before as well? Have a USB key. Who else works for it? Sorry, anyone else? Sorry. Don't care if you work for the government for those, they're really small and cheap. Okay, so it's PowerShell. So typos, I was worried about doing a typo in this demonstration. Again, not the thing that I really needed to worry about. But what I do need to do is change the computer name. But also what I want to do is show you a setting that makes it really obvious. This one, link enabled. So here's the user. No, do not log off. I'm going to move this around a bit. Have the PowerShell command. So notice I put in bang. Random delay in minutes equals 0. It's now doing a group policy update. So this is the machine I did the PowerShell command on, and it immediately ran it on this machine here. Right, that was for an individual machine. You can pipe the output of all the computer objects in an OU using PowerShell into this command. You could then do that to enumerate through an OU structure. Alright, so once that policy update has executed, and policy update's running a bit slow, my poor VM here at the moment, so I won't put you through that. Oh no, hang on, there it did. And it pushed a shortcut out to my machine. Alright, and this great website again, grouppolicy.biz, and put a shortcut on that, so that's a really good way to learn more about that. So, PowerShell is a way you can push that out. Okay, swiping back. How am I going for time? 15 minutes. Awesome. Remember, I put this in here. Sorry, question?
Is there any flexibility with that data to use first the pop-up?
I've been told they are improving the behavior of that in RTM, and I haven't had a chance to check that yet. Alright, although we're looking at that. Alright, so download the bits. Yeah, it's annoying to have that pop up to make it. It would be nice to have it make it non-interactive. That was some feedback that was heard about that. But basically, if you haven't, as the photo says, remember, if you want group policy update in your environment, you need to configure the firewall rules in advance. This is not here to save you after the fact. Yeah, PowerShell command does exactly the same thing. So you can't push the PowerShell command out. If there was some way you could remotely run PowerShell command on that machine, it's a scheduled task or something. I don't know. I'm not that au fait with PowerShell to know if I'm sure there'd be a million ways around it. But no, if you don't have it, it's going to use the same standard call. Question?
So if you run the group policy to do the GP update,
yep.
you still get the same pop-up box on the workstation?
If you just let it run, yeah. No, that will only come out if I don't know if the second time it's come up, but if you actually go in to schedule task, you probably find that because I've just done a group policy update, there's still a scheduled task. So a group policy update, I have noticed, will cause that, but a standard group policy object, as before, will not. I'm on the right computer here. A, B, C, D, E. No, I'm not logged on as admin, am I? No, sorry. No, standard group policy update won't cause that pop-up box. That behavior hasn't changed. XP used to do a refresh of the screen. That hasn't been there since Vista days. So, okay. Alright. Group policy performance reporting. Boy, because I really could do with some performance reporting at the moment. So this will be good. So if I hit no, okay. So what I'm going to do now, okay, so I've got group policy performance reporting. I want to find out what's causing my machine to run slow, and it's actually running slow, so I really want to figure out what's causing it. I'm betting it's folder redirection. I'm going to just enable group policy setting here that allows me to run group policy result report remotely. This is something that's been around for years, since XP days. It's just a couple of firewall rules. I'm not going to go into that too much. I just enabled that policy. Yes, I could have used group policy update to update this machine, but I just double-clicked on the shortcut instead. All right, to watch it go. So basically, there's a new option now in group policy, the group policy reports. Yep. No, I'm just waiting for that policy to apply to that machine. I swear it didn't do this slow before. Yay. So VM2, rerun query, it should go off. Yes. Details. Sorry about this. Notice here under computer status report, time taken to do my machine policy update, 198 milliseconds for the group policy infrastructure. So that's the core processing of group policy. So if you're blaming group policy to make your computer running slow, it's not really group policy, it's taking up about 200 milliseconds. How long does it take to do registry? Well, 62 milliseconds. How long does it take to do security? 797 milliseconds. Alright, yeah, I knew it was folder redirection. Look at that, folder redirection, 27 seconds. Alright, so if you're running into problems like I am at the moment, you can go in and do this group policy report. All this is doing is basically looking at the event logs in your client machine and looking at the individual event logs and how long it was there to process each of the individual components of group policy, and basically presenting that back to you in a group policy report. Okay, very handy if you want to try to troubleshoot it. You can even click on this. If you want to discover stuff like, link speed, what was the link speed that it detected? What was my threshold for slow link speed? What domain controller was I using? Things like that, the processing type, so if it's background or not. And then if you want to look at the event logs, it's a little bit deeper if you want to look at the raw XML in there, but these are basically the event logs that it was used to generate that information. Alright, so remember it's component status for users and component status also for the computer object itself. The summary tab too is a little bit different. Gives you some warnings about is there a user component of a group policy object that's disabled? Give you a warning. Was there a fast link detected? No other errors detected. You want more information about the fast link. Okay, so I'm not connected on the internet there, so that's okay. So I'm going to log off there. So basically, to sum up, group policy, they've made some settings changes. They've removed Internet Explorer maintenance section. So you need to use group policy preferences to update that. Remote Server Admin Tools, remember to download and install that on Windows 8. It's out of the box with Windows Server 2012. So as soon as you install the components, if you install Active Directory. What was the other ones? Firewall rules, of course. Firewalls. Make sure you set up firewall rules before you start your if you want to use group policy update in your environment. All right, very important. Okay, to make sure your group policy firewall rules are updated in advance if you want to use group policy update. Infrastructure status report. If you want to make sure your group policy objects are replicating around your organization correctly. Very important, just it's a good general health tip as well, okay? But basically, there's a few new good things in there. There are a heap of settings, right? But they're just settings, they're just administrative templates. They're not, what I'm talking about is the actual core components to group policy. So if you want to discover the group policy settings, really shortly the group policy team will release a Excel spreadsheet reference. Alright, they do it with every version of the operating system when it comes out. I'm sure I'm going to post a link on my website when it does come out, which basically goes through every single group policy setting in Windows 8. Okay, and you'll be able to filter it and go see all the group policy settings based on Windows 8 if you want to know the individual settings. But if you have stuff now, if you have your environment set up in advance for these new settings, you can start pushing it out. So basically what I'm saying is go off, download the bits, give it a try, set it up, test it in your own lab environment first. You've got Hyper-V in Windows 8 now. This is where I do all my testing now. It's a great place to do testing. Now I'm running early, so I'm more than happy to start taking any questions about group policy. I will plug that tomorrow I have a session about group policy, getting the most out of group policy in your environment, where I'm going to talk about a whole heap of things about good ways, maybe you want to call them best practices or good practices of managing group policy in your environment. And then on Friday I've got one about getting rid of your logon scripts, which is basically all about group policy preferences. So if you're still running logon scripts in your environment, I really implore you to come to that session because you'll find out how you're going to use group policy preferences that can basically get rid of logon scripts in your environment. Alright, so if you see me walking around, ask me a question, please. I'm from Australia. I don't know that many people here. I don't mind being asked questions. That's fine. Website, of course, and you can get me on Twitter. So, sorry. So, a few hands up. Question. All right. So, the ADM files are in a folder under C Windows called Policy Definitions. All right. If you create a group policy object on a Windows 8 machine or a Windows Server 2012 machine, those ADM files will be there. I'll wrap up now. If you want to ask a question, just come down here. We'll have a few minutes to talk about it. But thank you very much for coming to my session.